Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of homeownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley, and Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this, they lob it to him, he taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach in college basketball, hands down.
Vince 2 for 3, he's done his part. Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees are not. They're even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I am Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio. And it has happened, and it looks like it is going to happen for good. As Tom Brady today on Instagram, he has announced his retirement from the NFL. We know he did last year, but I think this year it looks like it is real. And if this is the end, this is the end to an outstanding career. 7-time Super Bowl champion, multiple Pro Bowls, multiple All-Pro honors. Probably clearly the best quarterback to ever play this game. In my opinion, the greatest, we'll get to it, the greatest player in the history of the NFL. I mean, the guy was just flat out amazing. Ever since he took over for Drew Bledsoe, he led the Patriots to 6 Super Bowls, 6 Super Bowl championships, and 9 Super Bowls. And then he went to Tampa, and he then won a Super Bowl there. Had a great year the next year too. And then this year wasn't his best year. And after this year, he ends up calling it quits. But still, a absolutely phenomenal year. For phenomenal career for Tom Brady, and I think it was, but for him at this point, I think it was time for him. I think it was time for him to hang it up. I think this was the worst year he had since the 2002 season. He still is good, but he hasn't. He was not elite this year. He was not elite. I think that was the big difference of this season versus I think the 20 years previous to this year, that he wasn't really an elite quarterback this year. And I think, there were options of him playing in San Fran, playing, maybe for the rival, or his old rival, the Miami Dolphins. But seeing that he could be away from his family and his kid, or playing in Vegas with Josh McDaniels, but seeing that he's that playing in Vegas and playing in San Francisco, that he'd be away from his kids for pretty much 7 months. I don't think he wanted to do that, so he made the decision to retire. And Justin, he was one of your favorite. He was probably your favorite probably your favorite NFL player of all time. What are your thoughts on what happened today?
Yeah, not totally shocked, but I guess I am a little bit. I know it's been a tough year for him on and off the field. Like the family stuff. I thought maybe part of the divorce, was he was now going to kind of keep playing until he was 50 and try to hit that mark, but yeah, I think this year took a big toll on him, and I think you could kind of see that. And I think he's somebody too that he took a little bit of a step back this year, but he was still probably better than, a little bit over half the other NFL quarterbacks out there still. But he's a guy, he's just not that Leo level anymore. And I don't think he wanted to kind of, can you see also, being away from his family. But yeah, he was awesome. Again, he's got 7 Super Bowls, although the dynasty that him, Bill, and the rest of the Patriots, that run that they had in the AFC East for 20 years is, again, that's something that's, never going to be touched. He was unbelievable again in the clutch. Again, every time he had the ball down late in the game, you had a really good feeling you were going to come back and win that game with him. He's just such an unbelievable quarterback. Again, and the thing was, he didn't have any of the gifts that you've seen from, again, like Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. Like he gained that by his work ethic. And I think that's the big thing. Again, everyone's kind of seen like the draft report on him, before the Patriots took him. He's worked on everything. And again, he just kind of continued to go out there, work on it. Again, being benched when he was still at Michigan, he really he made sure that was never going to happen again when he got a job back. He was never going to lose his starting job again. And the work ethic that he put in, I just think too, because of how hard he worked, I just think I think at a point too, he's probably just drained. It's 23 years. Again, the longevity, again, he's been healthy pretty much his entire career, besides, again, the 1 year where he lost, he tore the ACL, but yeah, again, it's been a remarkable career. And yeah, he's definitely the best quarterback, best NFL player of all time.
Yeah, and I mean, you talked about the work ethic, and the work ethic was second to none because he was able to play so well into his 40s. Like, you remember Belichick after the 2013 season, which was, the fact his numbers weren't that good was clearly not his fault. It was on the organization for not giving him what he needed. But having like Kembrell Tompkins, it was Julian Edelman's first year, and Kembrell Tompkins, one of his best receivers. But Belichick thought his best days were behind him, and he goes out and drafts Jimmy Garoppolo in the second round. And then he completely proved Bill wrong because then he ends up winning 4 Super Bowls after that. So, yeah, the work ethic, the way he was able to play late into his 40s is unbelievable. His work ethic is better than any I've ever seen in sport. His competitiveness and his work ethic, I think, is better than I've ever seen from any athlete ever. I think he was better than Michael Jordan at making his teammates better around him. And I think he was better than LeBron James at his competitiveness. I think was a little bit better than. No, I'm not saying LeBron's not competitive, but I think his competitiveness was a little bit was better than LeBron's.
Oh yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, he made so many below average wide receivers look decent to average. And yeah, that was something that he's been able to do his whole career. And yeah, the work ethic, his competitive. He didn't. Again, there's times they're up big, but he still has that ball in the fourth quarter. He's not letting the backup go in there. There's a part of him that, he's that he never wanted to lose his job, and he wanted to take every snap that he possibly could, and he was not letting anybody else do that if possible. So yeah, his competitiveness, again, he wanted to win. Again, yeah, this was the worst season in 20 years. I know they still found a way to get the playoffs. They were under 500, but yeah, like, again, he went to a Tampa team that had some good talent. Again, it was kind of the Winston, again, the interceptions were the turnovers were a big problem there. He and the franchise that really hasn't done well in the last 15, 20 years, and he took over and led him immediately to a Super Bowl. He found a way to win. He made everybody better. Yeah, he's the best competitor of all time.
Oh yeah, and now the quarterback thing is obvious. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. There's no question about that. I don't want to hear an argument about that. He's the best quarterback of all time. The big question is he the greatest NFL player of all time? And honestly, I'm going to say yes, because I have to say it, when he was back when he was with the Patriots, even when he was with the Bucs, no player meant more to his team than Tom Brady did. The Patriots, how many Super Bowls do the Patriots have without Tom Brady? 0. Look at the Patriots the last 3 years without Tom Brady. They haven't won a playoff game. They got to the playoffs once and lost by 30 points. And you look at the Buccaneers before he got there. They hadn't won a playoff game in 18 years. They hadn't been to the playoffs in 13 years. So knowing how important he is, I'm going to say, I hate saying this as a Giants fan. I'd take him over Lawrence Taylor. I mean, I'd take you definitely take him over any quarterback. I'd take him over Jerry Rice. I'd take him over, I'll take him over anyone. I really will. I'll take Brady over any player in the NFL. When you win 7 championships and you're a big reason why you were a big part of all those championship teams, you're the greatest player ever.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Again, he's got more Super Bowl rings than any other franchise in the league.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I think he is the best of all time, in the NFL. Again, yeah, he's just remarkable. The 7 Super Bowls. The way he just made everybody else around him better. Just to see what he did with that Tampa team. Obviously, New England too, and just again, New England stunk before he got there. They were one of the worst franchises. And again, the way he was able to help kind of build that dynasty and now to what they are today. I know, yeah, it hasn't been the same without him. But yeah, again, I think he's been the best because there's nobody in a bigger spot where I'd want somebody to have the ball in his hands than Tom Brady because he finds a way to win games. And again, they were down 31-7 against the Cowboys, and he was still yelling at guys on the sidelines with like 4 minutes left. He's still kind of directing guys, he always took every snap like he knew, like he felt like it could be his last as well. But yeah, I have to put him up there as the best all time.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. And remember that first year, instead of playing for overtime, they drove down the field and they got that field goal to win the game and beat the Rams, and that pretty much set the tone for his entire career. And you're right, there's no one. I know one of the most clutch quarterbacks was on my team of all time was on my team, but I take Brady any day of the week with the game on the line over Eli Manning because Tom Brady is just, if he had the ball, even at times this year, he had 2 game-winning drives. He was still at his best when the game was on the line. So there's no one you would take with the game on the line over Tom Brady. No,
there wouldn't be. He's been remarkable for so long at it. I don't know how many game-winning drives he's had, but it's obviously it's way up there. And it's just, it's again, it's been impressive. His whole career he's been able to do that. Yeah, the Rams won that jump-started the whole thing, and that everything took off from there.
Yes. So is he now we'll go to the greatest athlete ever. Is Brady the greatest athlete you've ever seen of all time? I think he's in the top 3 with Jordan and LeBron. And I think he was better at making his teammates around him better than Jordan was. And I think he's a little bit of a better competitor than LeBron is. But I have to look at the sports, and football is a little bit more of a team sport. Basketball is definitely more of a team sport than basketball. And he arguably played for one of the greatest coaches of all time too, and he played in a top organization for that entire time. So I'd probably rank him 3rd. I'd go MJ, LeBron, and then I'd probably go Tom Brady. I'd probably rank him 3rd, but he definitely is in that conversation for greatest athlete of all time.
I'm going to take him number 1. And
I can see that. I definitely could see that.
And I think one of them is what his records that he's broken so many records, and by like wide margins where it's going to be pretty hard for anybody else to maybe touch him. Again, I know the sport is a lot different. It's a more passing kind of league now than it was back then. But again, like he's got 88 pass touchdowns in the playoffs. Like second Joe Montana with 45. Like it's like like the record that he's broken, a lot of them he's got some distance on. And we're about to see LeBron pass, Kareem. Like there's some records that, we've kind of seen pass. And I go back, with the 7, he's won more titles than any other franchise combined, that have in the league, and also just that dynasty that he had in New England. It helped that he had Bill, and some of those teams kind of were not great for those 20 years, but the way they just dominated that league or dominated the division. Again, they got the playoffs, and they owned Peyton. He owned Peyton Manning a lot in the playoffs. I know he got him a couple times there. But I just think and LeBron and MJ are phenomenal. But I just think some of the stuff Brady's done as well. I know it's a lot more of a team sport than obviously in basketball is. But yeah, the way he's kind of made things better. Again, he just didn't have any of the tools either that kind of a lot of, that you've seen Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes, Allen have. I think, because of all that, the records that he has, just all the winning, the competitiveness, I do slightly put him up there 1. I have MJ 2 and LeBron 3rd.
Yeah. I could see you having him there at 1. And you talk about it being more of a passing league, but the thing is, over the last decade, the NFL has become more and more quarterback dependent, and he's been phenomenal, and he's been absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you look at the Super Bowls; those 2 Super Bowls he won against Atlanta and Seattle. I don't think any other quarterback wins those Super Bowls. I don't think that any other quarterback comes back from 10 down against the Legion of Boom and wins that Super Bowl. Brady did that. No one would have came back the way he came back against the Atlanta Falcons from 28-3 down in the second half to win that game. No one does that. So I disagree that he's the greatest athlete ever. I'm going to go with MJ, but it's very, very close between him, MJ, and LeBron. It's very, 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 very close between those 3 guys.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Those 3 have been the greatest 3 athletes. Arguably, they Hector, actually. Michael Phelps, I respectfully disagree. Michael Phelps, to me, has been a better athlete. Tom Brady, 28 gold medal.
He's got a point
medals.
there. 23 gold medals. He definitely has a point there, but Phelps is not competing in the NFL or the NBA, and he's not competing for championships in those leagues. That's where I disagree, but Hector does have a point there.
Yeah. He does, because another one could be too, like a Tiger. It could be up there, but if you want it,
but those guys aren't competing. Those guys aren't competing to win championships in the NBA or the NFL the way that Jordan was, the way that LeBron was, and the way that Brady was.
Yeah, no, because it's a team sport, and things are kind of a little bit different. But Michael Phelps was obviously was one of the best. He's been one of the better athletes that we've seen as well, especially in swimming, the way he's dominated. But for Brady being number 1, the way he made just everybody else around him better. The way, again, Jordan kind of did that as well. LeBron's, has done that as well. But just some of the rosters that he's had, and he's been able to win the whole thing, with some of the wide receivers he's had. Again, you saw the year when he had Randy Moss and they went undefeated. That was, imagine if he had a Randy Moss for 8-9 years.
Oh my God.
What? Yeah. What his numbers couldn't, what are those numbers like then? That's the thing.
People try to say Payton was better in the regular season. That's nonsense. Okay. No. Look at the receivers Payton had. He had Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison for most of his career. Then he went to Denver and had I know Brady had Welker, but he had Demaryius Thomas, Wes Welker, and he had Eric Decker. He always had pretty good receivers. Brady was a better quarterback than Payton in the regular season and in the postseason.
Yeah, he was. I know Tom had some pretty good tight ends throughout his career, but he never really, outside of Moss, he didn't have that defined. I know Welker was good, Edelman was good, but if he ever got a Marvin Harrison or Reggie Wayne, side by side with him. Yeah, again, those numbers, again, the numbers would be even better. So I just think if you this has been a discussion with the Patriots last decade of not putting talent around their wide receiver. But if you could put a number, if he had a Randy Moss there for a couple more years, if he had him for a majority of his career, a guy like that, again, again, some of those numbers are, even farther and even more untouchable to beat than they are right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and look at what he did in 2006 and 2013. He got the Patriots to AFC Championship games in 2006 with Rashae Caldwell and Jabbar Gaffney as his 2 best receivers. And in 2013, he got them to an AFC Championship game. Edelman was good, but he wasn't Edelman that year. And he had Kimbrel Tompkins on that team. So Brady took people. He threw a touchdown pass to Kimbrel Tompkins. So look at Brady made below average guys good. There's no quarterback that could make make below average receivers look good the way Tom Brady could.
No, I'm look at Rodgers. Well, Devontae Adams this year.
He was hurt, but still, he was hurt. Yeah, but the beginning of the year, he wasn't that good.
No. He wasn't able to kind of pick him up. So that's something. Brady was able to do throughout his career, and I think that's what's made him so and I think that's just the most impressive part is, there's just not too many quarterbacks that have been able to do it and to maintain it like he did for so long and for so many years. And then you kind of finally saw him like again last year at Tampa in 2020. Again, the numbers he put up at 42, 43 years old, that was insane. The numbers he put up at that age, what do you have? 45, 46 touchdown passing last year. Again, at that age with all the weapons he had, it was just it was remarkable. It's just he's been able to make everybody else around him better. That's been a huge kind of trait for him. And again, I just think it's his worth ethic, and I think his wide receivers, especially when he's trying to start to take off and everything started to go well, and he was at the top of his game. And I think a lot of wide receivers kind of knew they'd put in the work for him because I think he really took the time to really form relationships with a lot of those wide receivers, tight ends, the all offense in general. And again, I think that goes with worth ethic, all the practice he's put in with all those guys over the years.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you said the way he played in his 40s, he went down to Tampa and threw for over 40 touchdown passes twice, and he was 43 and 44, and he won a Super Bowl MVP at 43. You're never going to see that ever again. That's why, to me, as we said earlier, he's the greatest. I mean, don't even argue about being the greatest quarterback of all time. He has that by far. No one's going to touch him. But he's the greatest NFL player of all time. And I think a big reason is because of the way he played in his 40s, and not even for the teams that he was on for 20 years. He brought the greatness somewhere else to a team that didn't make the playoffs for over a decade.
Yeah. Like I really couldn't remember the last time Tampa's made the playoffs before he got there. Like it was a while. It's a franchise that really was kind of in a rebuild for a decade. It felt like. So to be able to go down there and be able to just go bring a ring immediately to him, was huge. And it really, I think that helped his legacy even more. And it really showed that it was more about him than Bill. Bill obviously has a huge part of the dynasty as well, but you could see when he went down to Tampa, like you can make it out to, Tom Brady meant more to the Patriots dynasty than Bill Belichick did, and I think that cemented his legacy even more.
Absolutely. It going to Tampa and winning that Super Bowl put him in the conversation. It put him in the conversation as the greatest NFL player of all time, and then it put him in that greatest athlete conversation because he proved he meant more than that quote unquote Patriot way, and he proved he meant more than Belichick. He proved he meant more. Yeah, he proved that he meant more than those two things, and that's why that Super Bowl in Tampa was very, very important in his career.
Yeah, absolutely, and again, the way he played that season, the way he went down there, just trying to, and again with that all, again, I know the first 8 weeks there's, that it was off to kind of a slow start, but when he got it going, after that bye, they figured it out and he got on a roll. Brady, Hector's comment, Brady's a very smart football player. There's a few Super Bowls they should have lost. Yes, that Seattle one, if they ran the football, they probably lose. Atlanta, LA, the Rams, they did, Carolina, but his leadership and knowledge of the game puts him on the Mount Rushmore of the NFL. Yeah, absolutely. Again,
absolutely. Yeah,
absolutely. Yes, like that Seattle game, Seattle runs the ball, they win that game. Atlanta, again, if you simulate that game 100 times, there's no way they're coming back, any other time than that. Now, Atlanta did help them out a bit. Yeah, the Rams won. Was an ugly one. They figured out how to win. They kind of got some luck there. And Carolina, they got the game winning field goal. But his leadership and his knowledge. Again, for a guy that was a pure pocket passer, he was great at recognizing the blitz. He was so good in his head before pre-snap. And again, it's something that I don't know if we'll ever see another quarterback be as good as he was pre-snap.
Yeah, I don't think we ever will. But now we're going to go to our top 5 moments of Brady's career, and you are the Patriot fan, so I'll let you go first. What are your top 5 moments from Tom Brady's career?
All right, number 5. This one may be on a little bit off the wall here, but the snow game back in 2009, the 59-0 game against the Titans. Part of it too is the uniform game. They wore their the AFL 80s, the red, and Titans wore like the Oilers jerseys. But again, he threw for 6 touchdowns in the snow, and he threw for a record 5 TDs in the same quarter, and that broke a record for most touchdowns a quarter. Again, he did that in the snow with a couple inches on the ground. So to me, that was that game was just an impressive one. The 2007 undefeated regular season. Especially now with 17 games, I don't think we're ever going to see another team go undefeated for a regular season. Having Randy Moss come in and make the huge difference that he did, the numbers that they were able to put up, that team was just an absolute juggernaut. That team was so much fun to watch. Number 3 was the 2014 Super Bowl victory against Seattle. The way they found a way to hold on to that game, they came back down by 10. And then it was nice too after Deflategate, just to kind of rub it in that Goodell had to kind of hand him the trophy. Kind of that was pretty good for Patriot fans, because that one was a joke of a suspension. Number 2 was his first Super Bowl, the greatest show on turf. Being would come back, beat that Rams team as a rookie, which people say is the best offense of all time. That Rams team, with Kurt Warner there. That kicked off the whole dynasty. And they took off and ran with it. And then number 1, the 28-3 comeback. I will admit I did turn that game off. Well, I was at a front. All right, so I was with a bunch of friends. So they all hated the Patriots. So like they had it on, but like I was not paying attention to it at all. I kind of walked away. I didn't want to see any of it. I did see they started to come back, and I went back in there. But that again, that one just the way they were come back, they got some help from Atlanta, and just again that one that just, and you'll just never again in the Super Bowl, you'll never see a guy come back from that type of deficit. Yeah, he's the one guy that could be able to do that. And that was my top Tom Brady moment.
My top 5 are number 1 is the 2007, the last game against the Giants when he broke. I mean, Peyton Manning obviously broke his record, but he broke Peyton Manning. He broke Peyton when he had the record when he had 48 touchdowns. I was at the game. He broke the record. Moss and Brady broke the record on the same play. I remember Moss dropped the ball first, and then he went back to him, and then they both broke the record for receiving. Moss broke the record for receiving touchdowns in the season, and Brady broke the record for touchdown passes in the season. So that's my number 5. My number 4 is him winning that Super Bowl with the Buccaneers, because as we said earlier, that put him in another stratosphere. That put him as one of the greatest athletes of all time. That clearly put him in the conversation for one of the greatest one of the greatest players in NFL history, because he proved that he didn't need the Patriot way or Belichick to win a championship. So that's why I think that 7th ring was really, really important for his legacy. That's why that's number 4 for me. Number 3, it was that first Super Bowl against the Rams. It was that first Super Bowl against the Rams, winning that Super Bowl, leading them on that game-winning drive, and then cementing and then getting that job for good, getting that starter's role for good. Because you remember, Drew Bledsoe played in most of that AFC Championship game when Brady got hurt, but he took over that job for good when he won that Super Bowl against the Rams. Number 2 for me was the game in 2014 against the Seahawks. The comeback, down 10 against the Legion of Boom, winning that game, and then you see with all the Deflategate rumors, Goodell had to hand him the trophy. So that is definitely that's number 2 for me. Brady winning that Super Bowl against the Seattle Seahawks, coming back from 10 down against the Legion of Boom. And number 1 is everyone's number 1 with Tom Brady, the comeback, down 28-3 in the Super Bowl, leading his team back and winning that game. The greatest comeback in Super Bowl history. That was unbelievable. That is my number 1 moment for Tom Brady. So we both share the number 1 moment, and most of our moments are the same. I think 4 to the 5 are the same. The only one that's different for you is that Buccaneer moment. The Buccaneers. I had the Buccaneer moment because
the Buccaneers one. Yeah. You had the Buccaneers one. I had like the snow game. So I guess 2007. I kind of combined the whole.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I just think the Buccaneers was very important just for his legacy, because it clearly made him the most responsible for that Patriots dynasty, because he proved he didn't need. And Belichick hasn't proven this. Belichick and the Patriots haven't proven this. Brady did. He proved they didn't need. He proved that that the Patriots needed him, and Belichick needed him more than he needed the Patriots.
Yeah, he absolutely did. That was a tough pill to swallow for a lot of Patriot fans to see him go down there and win down there in Tampa. But
Hector has his memory.
That was week 1, wasn't it?
That was week 7.
That week
7 in Miami.
Week 1.
But the problem with, and I respect Hector's opinion there, but the problem with that game was Miami was absolutely terrible that year. They were 1-15.
Yeah,
they threw like 6 touchdown passes in the first half. That was a horrific Miami team.
Yeah, that was your 1-7. Again, that game, I don't remember a ton of that game, but 21 for 25 with 354, even against a bad team. Perfect passer rating, and that was probably one of his best games out there. But yeah, they absolutely throttled the Dolphins that day. Yeah, that was the year. Yeah, they were 1-15. But yeah, the numbers that day were pretty impressive down there at versus Miami.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So we thought before the Brady stuff happened that we were going to open the show with this. But yesterday we had breaking news on Sean Payton. He is going to become the next head coach of the Denver Broncos. Now the Saints get the Broncos' first round pick, and they get, I think, the Broncos' second round pick in 2024. I would not give up draft capital for a coach. You look at what happened with your team with Brady, with Belichick. We lost Brady. It's not the Saints. Even you look at when it's just not the same when a great player leaves. I would never give up draft compensation for a coach, but that's what the Broncos did. They go into this year with no draft picks, and I do think that Payton will improve the Broncos. I do think they will be an improved team next year, and I think they got a really good chance to be a playoff team next year. I think they could be I don't think they're going to be a Super Bowl contender, but I definitely think that the Broncos are going to be a playoff team because I think their defense was pretty good last year. I think a big reason they were bad is their offense was terrible, but their offense definitely played better. They averaged like 27 points a game when Nathaniel Hackett left. So Russell Wilson started to play better when Nathaniel Hackett left. They're hoping to get Javonte Williams back next year. So I do think with Sean Payton, this will be a playoff team next year. Justin, the big question is, do you think they're a playoff team with Sean Payton as their head coach?
Maybe in year 2. I don't know about you. I think this is the best situation here for Russell Wilson to have Sean Payton come in. But stylistically, he's a little bit different from Drew Brees. So we'll see how he kind of, figures it out with Russell Wilson. Again, he kind of played better there the last couple weeks of the year. So maybe he could kind of figure out some of those offensive issues that they had. But maybe in year 2, I'm not sure. I got to see Russell first. Kind of like, how is he kind of use Russell? Is he able to kind of just fix him a little bit? Again, the first year out, Pete Carroll, and again, nobody in August thought Geno Smith was going to have a better year than Russell Wilson. I have to kind of see it because I got to see Russell Wilson be better, but I think Sean Payton's the best kind of option that they got, to try to fix Russell Wilson here, because again, they got another 5 years of Russell Wilson, and they're paying him $500 million. So, you got the right coach to try to fix him and see you can get anything left, out of Russell Wilson. We'll see. I think potentially they can be, but I think more likely year 2 for him, just because that division's so tough. We'll see what the Raiders can do, this offseason, who they go after for a quarterback. But the AFC, there's still so many, good teams. I could maybe see him sliding in at 7, but I could see him just missing out of the playoffs.
Now, are the Broncos? This should be an easy one. Are they a Super Bowl contender with Sean Payton? No way. There's no way they're with no draft capital. And Russell Wilson, let's be honest, his best days might be behind him. So I would say there's no way they're a Super Bowl contender with Payton next year.
No, absolutely not. I don't see it. Maybe in a couple years down the line, but maybe. But yeah, right now, no, not without any draft picks next year. I think they're like in a tight spot too for salary cap wise. So I don't know how much money they got, but again, a ton of it's going to Wilson already. So we'll see. Maybe a couple years they get some young wide receivers. Maybe Payne kind of get something out of those guys. But we'll see. Not in year 1.
No. But this is a step in the right direction for the Broncos, an organization that since Peyton Manning has left has not made the playoffs and has had 6 straight losing seasons. So this is definitely a step in the right direction for this franchise.
Yeah, and absolutely. Again, because I know we talked about this, earlier in the year, but right now the only team I think right now in the NFL that was it's like in worse shape right now organizationally wise is like the Texans, because they don't have any picks. You got Russell Wilson here on the books for 4 or 5 years, so yeah, it's a step in the right direction. We'll see if Sean Payton can kind of get them out of it here, get them back, because it's a great fan base. It's they love their football. They got some history, so Denver's, a team that should be up there in the top half of the AFC every year in the top half division. So yeah, we'll see if Payton can get it going down there.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Now, speaking of the Texans, they hired D'Amico Ryans yesterday, pretty much at the same time as the Broncos hired Sean Payton. And I think this is a good hire. Former player, played for them for 6 years, played linebacker for the Texans for 6 years. I think this is a good hire. Did a great job in San Francisco. Obviously, hiring coordinators, you never know. It's always a guessing game. But I think this is a better hire than their previous 2 hires.
Yeah, absolutely. They go young. They go a guy that they need to fix their defense. I think you got a guy that from San Francisco that had one of the top defensives in the league. I do think this is a good step right now for the Texans. We'll see because he got the 6-year deal. So hopefully the Texans give him that time here to kind of try to start something here. Because, yeah, it's going to be a 3-4 year rebuild here, I think, for the Texans, maybe longer. They got a ton of draft picks coming up, so we'll see what he can do with them. But, yeah, it's something that this is not going to – it's going to take a little bit, more than just kind of an overnight project here to kind of fix the Texans. So it is definitely a good step in the right direction for Houston.
Yes, absolutely. So now going from D'Amico Ryans' old team to his new team, from his new team to his old team, the San Francisco 49ers, they got crushed in the NFC Championship game on Sunday, 31-7 to the Eagles. And my biggest takeaway from this game is Kyle Shanahan, he did not coach a good game. He did not coach a good game at all. And it started right off the bat. The Devontae Smith catch was not a catch. You saw him trying to get guys up the line of scrimmage. The minute you see that as a head coach, you got to be talking to your guys upstairs, and you got to challenge that. You got to challenge that because that was a 4th down play right there. You get the ball close to midfield, and then what happens is the Eagles score a touchdown. So that's the difference. If the Eagles score a touchdown, you getting the ball at midfield. If you're a head coach, you have got to challenge that play. That was the first thing he did. Second thing was, why was he having a backup tight end block Hassan Reddick? You're asking, you want to say, the Niners have bad luck. The Niners have bad luck. When you have that happening, you're asking for something bad to happen. And it did. And Brock Purdy, who hasn't lost the game as a starter, got hurt. And now we know he's going to be out for a while, too, because of it. And then third, 1:36 to go. You have Josh Johnson as your quarterback, and you're getting the ball back. I know, and 99% of the time, I want coaches to be aggressive in that spot. That is the one time, knowing the situation, you're getting the ball back to start the half. You're getting the ball back. Just run the ball 3 times. The Eagles had 2 timeouts left. They call their 2 timeouts, and then even if you're giving the ball back to Jalen Hurts, you're getting the ball back with at most 40 seconds left in your territory, and your defense played really well in the first half. So I didn't get those 3 things Shanahan did. Shanahan did not coach a good game. That's my biggest takeaway with the 49ers. And with the Eagles, it's been what they've been doing all year with the pass rush. Their pass rush, they knocked out 2 quarterbacks, and it was their running game. And their running game has been the identity of this Eagles offense ever since they started 2-5 last year. And it's led them, and it's been probably one of the biggest reasons why they've gotten to the Super Bowl. It's helped Jalen Hurts. And it's really helped that offense. That running game for the Eagles was good again. They ran for over 140. They ran for almost 150 yards against the top run defense in football. That running game was really good. So the takeaway for the Niners was the quarterback was my takeaways for the Niners was Shanahan was not good, and my takeaway for the Eagles was the pass rush and the running game. What are your takeaways from the NFC title game?
Yeah, for the Niners, Shanahan was not good. You mentioned that pretty much what I was going to say with that. So, again, they didn't really, and then they didn't have a chance a minute. When Purdy got hurt, you knew the game was over. They had 0 chance to win that football game. They put Josh Johnson in the bad spot there late in the first half. 2 that didn't help things either. You can't really expect a 4-string quarterback there to try to get something there on first, on third down. It just was not going to happen. And then, so it was, the Shanahan was a big part, of, and then just losing Brock Purdy. And yeah, for Philly, it's just the way they are on the line of scrimmage. They're the most dominant team up front on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, up front. They've been like that pretty much all year long. They've been like that. They weren't efficient. They weren't great through the air, I felt like, but yes, San Francisco is a really good defense. But yeah, the ground game, again, when Purdy went down too, they were just able to run the football, just kind of just keep away from them. They just really they didn't have as long as they didn't just they for San Francisco to win that game, they literally would have had to hand San Francisco every point that they needed. But yeah, Hurts played well. They ran the football they ran the football like they have all year. So yeah, the running game, for the Eagles, and then just up front, on both sides of the ball, just again, they've been the most dominant team on that, up front all year long, and they did the same thing on Sunday.
Absolutely. So now we'll go to the AFC Championship game with the Chiefs beating the Bengals 23-20. And my biggest takeaway, I'll start with the team that lost for the Bengals, and this is an obvious one: their offensive line. Their offensive line was absolutely terrible in the game. They gave up 5 sacks. That was the reason why they didn't score in their first 2 possessions. And it also was the reason why they could not drive down the field for a game-winning field goal because Burrow got sacked by Chris Jones. And it also was the reason why there was an intentional grounding call because Burrow was under pressure. The Bengals, I know it was banged up, but even when they were healthy this year, that offensive line wasn't great anyways. Mike Brown has got to fix this offensive line, or he's going to continue to lose in the conference championship game or in the Super Bowl. You cannot win a Super Bowl with a bad offensive line. You can get to a Super Bowl, you can get to a conference championship game. You cannot win Super Bowls with a bad offensive line, and Mike Brown has got to fix that, or Joe Burrow is going to be the quarterback who can't win the big game. And my takeaway for the Chiefs are two things. First and foremost, Patrick Mahomes was outstanding on one ankle. 29 for 43 for 326 on one ankle. I did not expect him to have that kind of performance. And the Bengals did a good job stopping Pacheco. We before the game, we said 2 guys had to be really good were Pacheco and Jones. Obviously, we know Jones was outstanding. Pacheco wasn't. But what made up for Pacheco not being good was the play of Patrick Mahomes. And the play of Patrick Mahomes was outstanding in this game. To do what he did on one ankle to get those Chiefs to the Super Bowl, that was an outstanding. And he lost Juju Smith-Schuster during the game too. And he lost Kadarius Toney, so 2 of his top 3 receivers. Outstanding performance by Patrick Mahomes. And then second, Chris Jones was a monster. He was a monster in the run game. They contained Mixon all day long. And then in the pass game, he was phenomenal. He was all over Joe Burrow all night long. And he had the sacks that meant the most at the end of the game. He had the huge sack to force the Bengals to punt and set up the Chiefs on that game-winning drive. So Chris Jones and Patrick Mahomes were outstanding. Those are my 2 takeaways from the Chiefs and Burrow and the offensive line being terrible for the Bengals. What were your biggest takeaways from the AFC Championship game?
Mine, was one was obviously the offensive line. They just they showed all day. Again, I think that it makes the Bills even look worse too. That they could not take advantage of how bad the Bengals offensive line was. Yeah, Chris Jones was a game wrecker. He got it. He did anything he wanted to get in that backfield, and he gave Burrow did not have much time at all, and it definitely affected their offense. And it's definitely a big issue. It has been the last couple of years. Again, it's hard to ask Joe Burrow if this thing doesn't get better to stay on the field for 17 games a year if that offensive line cannot improve. He's again, he's not going to stay healthy for a long time. They continue to struggle up front. My other one too was just I didn't think Zach Taylor was great on Sunday either. Again, that final drive, they Mixon gets a 7-yard run to start the final drive there, and then why are you taking 2 shots on the field? Like
I know. All you could do just throw those screen. You have Joe Mixon. Yeah, he hasn't had a great year, but he had a really good game against Buffalo. And I don't think you're so right about Zach Taylor. He did not use Mixon enough in that game. He didn't, and he didn't use Mixon when he should have used him in the Super Bowl. I'm telling you, the big question is is Zach Taylor good enough? I know he's done a good job the last 2 years, but is he good enough to win a Super Bowl win?
I don't think I'm not seeing. They were very, very close.
The jury is out on that question. The jury is out. I'm not totally convinced. He's definitely not a great coach. No. You have to call him a good coach for the last 2 years, but I'm telling you, he's made some decisions, especially last year with not having Mixon in the game at the end, and then this year not using Mixon enough on the last drive. He's definitely made some questionable decisions late in these games.
Yeah, he absolutely has, and it's cost him, and and I didn't understand it. Yeah, Mixon again. Yeah, you could have used him a little bit more. You could have tried to use him in the screen game because you couldn't really get much going. Another one too is I thought they were gonna get chased more, but he had like the one catch for I think it was a long 35, but like, he's been a guy that's kind of torched the Chiefs the last couple years. I thought, they maybe get him more involved in the game plan. I mean, he still had 7 catches, 75 yards, but one of them was for 35 yards. But like, I just saw, I just didn't think Taylor had another really good game out there on Sunday. He wasn't great. And then for the Chiefs, it was Mahomes gutted it out on one ankle. He did everything he could. Again, he was as mobile as he could be. He, obviously the scramble at the end there, that kind of got, that was obviously a penalty, to kind of set up that field goal there at the end of the game by Bucker. But, he played really well. Yeah. And you mentioned a couple of their guys went down, and Travis Kelce was banged up too in that game. Kelce was able to kind of gut it out. He made a couple big catches in that one. The only thing is the Chiefs, the Bengals came out flat. The Chiefs really had, they got a couple of field goals there, but they could have really punched those 2 in the end zone there. Could have made it. Could have really made it.
They got to do that. They got to do that in 2 weeks. They can't have that in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, but everything else, I thought the Chiefs, they played well. And again, I obviously had the Chiefs, or I thought the Bengals were going to beat them, but Mahomes is that healthy. I didn't think Mahomes was going to be that healthy on Sunday. He looked pretty good, and obviously now he's got 2 weeks to get even more healthy. Mahomes played well. That in that defensive line was just an absolute beast there on Sunday. Obviously, you mentioned what Chris Jones was able to do. He just game wrecked that. He was an absolute game wrecker.
He absolutely was. So on Saturday night, we got one of the biggest rivalries in college basketball. But before we talk about that, we're going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial and Shamrock Home Inspections.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEG's Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEG's Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEG's Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut. There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
All righty, so Saturday night we get the big rivalry between Duke and North Carolina, and neither of these teams are ranked coming into this game. North Carolina, this obviously is a rematch of the Final Four last year between these two teams. It was Coach K's final game. Coach K's, this is the first time that UNC's back in Cameron after Coach K's final home game. UNC beat them in the Coach K's final home game and in Coach K's final game. Duke definitely looking to get revenge on Saturday night. And I think for the game, per se, I think Duke wins this game. I think they're pumped up. They want revenge from what happened last year with North Carolina. But the big question is for Justin, there's two questions. Who wins Saturday night? And which one of these teams will make a run in the ACC tournament and even the NCAA tournament? Which team has a better chance to make more of a run?
Saturday night, both teams are starting to kind of figure it out. Jeremy Roach is back for Duke, and he's been huge at the point guard spot. They really needed him because Duke's got one lottery pick, and that's Filikowski. You know, Derek Lively, the number 1 overall recruit, he's not lived up to the billing. He's really struggled. And Whitehead's battled a foot injury. It'll be interesting. You know, somebody could take him in the lottery, but it's the second foot injury already. So I kind of worry about the durability a little bit right now. But for Saturday night revenge, I do think Duke finds a way to pull it out. I think Shire's figured it out. I thought he called a pretty good game late last night because he's not been great in late game situations. Davis isn't either, but I think Duke finds a way to pull it out. And I think to make a bigger run in the ACC tournament and the NCAA tournament, I'd probably go Duke because of the point guard play of Roach. Roach really played well at the end of last year. He's really carried that into this year. You know me too, Steve. I don't like Caleb Love. I'm not RJ Davis a little bit better than Caleb Love, but I don't really trust those two. They just got hot at the right time. Like that's all it was. They got no depth. It's Baycott's a beast, but again, it's tough to go on a run where your best player is a center. Caleb Love last year's a 38% 3-point shooter. This year he's at 27. His freshman year is a 26% 3-point shooter. He's regressed last year he kind of had a really nice year from 3. He's regressed back to what he is. So I'd probably say Duke because of that. Now, if they can figure out Derek Lively, like that's the thing. Like if they can get him going, because he's the number 1 recruit this offseason. You know, it's been strange that he's not shooting the ball well from pretty much anywhere. So, and Whitehead's not a season injury, but you know, I'm not sure when he's going to come back right now. But I'll take Duke. I think it's a second weekend team. I don't really think I think maybe the only national title contender in the ACC is Virginia, but I don't know if they could win it either because they don't have an NBA guy on that roster. They just have a lot of good college guys. But my other thing is I'll be interested to see how big this rivalry is in the next 5 to 10 years because you know me, I don't think Herbert or Shire I don't think they'll be here for more than 15 years.
Why aren't you as big of a fan of Herbert and Shire? Why is it you don't really like Herbert Davis? Even though he got to a national title game last year, you don't like Herbert Davis and John Shire. You're not high on so far.
No, Davis. I just think this could turn out to an Ollie thing. Like, yeah, he got on that run. Let's give him the extension. Okay, North Carolina, Duke. They're always going to have top talent, but they're always going to recruit. They're always going to get the top guys. But I don't know. But like. I don't see them. I don't see both. Like, I don't think Davis is a great in-game coach. I think they just got hot last year. Shire, the same thing. They started to play better defensively at the beginning of the year. It's starting to kind of regress there for Duke. Shire and Duke's not getting the same calls like they usually do under K. Like that's another thing that's
You're finally going after Coach K again.
Yes, K could work those refs big time. Shire ain't doing that. Again, did you see that one against Virginia Tech last Monday? How they lost that game?
Yeah, I saw. Yeah.
That would have been a flagrant 2 if Coach K was on the sidelines. Let's be honest
about
here.
That.
Maybe flagrant 1.
I'll give you that.
Would have been a flagrant 1 at least if K's on that sideline. So, but yeah, these two will both recruit well. And then again, it's the other point. What legend at the college level has worked as a coach? It doesn't. It just doesn't. Shire won an national championship at Duke. I know Davis was at North Carolina too. It just doesn't. It just doesn't work. It just won't. It's gonna end badly like it had. DeJuan Howard, Michigan, yeah, that looked good for a year. That one, there's noise now of changes need to be coming there. So
Patrick Ewing at Georgetown, looking at that situation. That's a disaster. I don't know how he still has a job.
They don't want to. I think it's mostly because they don't want to fire a legend and they don't want to break that relationship.
Yeah, but you're right. They never work.
It doesn't. That's why I didn't like. I know Duke and Krzyzewski love staying in house, but I would have gone with Tom Amaker for that job at least for a couple years. Now Amaker wanted the job, and this is where I can't stand K even more because remember the Wake Forest game last year when he left the game at halftime because he was quote unquote sick. It was the day of the Wake Forest game. The story came out about Tommy Amaker wanting the job, and Coach K, reportedly kind of screamed and yelled at him like, "No, it's Shire," because K wanted to control Shire, knew he couldn't to Amaker. So Kay was mad at the media that we all portraying him as a bad guy.
Oh, gotcha. He didn't want to talk to the press that night.
Yes. So that's why I can't stand Kay. That's another reason why I cannot stand his guts. But anyways, it just doesn't work. The legend thing's trying to be the alum. And again, they're both taking over for Roy and Kay. Like, they're just, especially for Shire, the expectation level, it is just so high that I don't think he's going to be able to just, and I think recruiting too now, and I think with NIL and all that too, it's different where all these guys are making millions. They're going to be here for a season. Why do I really care? Like, I do think that's another part of why I could see these two kind of, maybe not so much North Carolina, but more Duke, because they usually have more one and dones. I could see it where guys are, I think that's maybe part of Kentucky's problem too, is they just, again, I think Sheboy was saying at the beginning of the year, they don't, nobody listens to what Coach Cal's kind of telling us to run. Like, it just, some of these guys I just think will tune out. They're getting their millions, 3 or 4 a year. They want to, and obviously get their draft stock as high as possible. Like, I just think it's, I think that could be part of it. I don't see these two, Shire Davis, being here for the long term. And I don't know if this rivalry, again, they're not in the top 25 right now. Yeah, they'll have some top 25 battles in the future. I don't know if they'll ever be a top 5 battle with these two in a while. I'm not really high on these two right now.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening with these two coaches. But that's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We will be back next week with our Super Bowl preview, and we will also be previewing the NBA trade deadline. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach in college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3. He's done his part. Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
They're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All 4 Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.